Okay, so let's dive into this. We're looking at a scenario that is just, it's brutal, and it's so incredibly unique. We've got a whole stack of sources here describing what looks like a prison riot, but it's really a hostile takeover.
A meticulously engineered one.
Exactly. At a maximum security women's prison, the Marcy State Correctional Institution, SCI-Marcy.
And you think prison takeover, you're thinking gangs. Like
Yeah.
drugs, territory.
Yeah, the usual stuff.
But this is something else entirely. Something far, far more sinister.
It really is. The sources show this was a tactical operation, and it was orchestrated by, well, an ancient, non-human entity, Justinia Malvern.
And the absolute genius of it is who she traps inside. The protagonist here is Laura Caxton, ex-cop.
One of the best vampire hunters in the world, by all accounts.
The absolute best. And now she's an inmate. She's trapped inside the very system she once served. It's just, the irony is incredible.
The narrative just maps out this whole descent into, like, a localized nightmare. It's so focused on Caxton's isolation, especially when she's thrown into the special housing unit, the SHU.
Right. And while she's being psychologically dismantled in there, Malvern is making her move right outside the cell door.
So our mission today for this deep dive is to really get into the weeds and decode the enemy's blueprint here.
We have to. How did Malvern weaponize a standard state prison? The infrastructure, the people.
The human vulnerabilities,
Right.
the institutional failures.
Exactly. And the big question, how was this whole thing engineered as a precise trap, a 23-hour clock built around psychological warfare and, biological needs, all aimed at one person?
Caxton.
All for Caxton.
Yeah.
The level of strategic patience is just, it's
It's
stunning.
like a high-stakes chess game in a cage. So let's start with the board itself, SCI-Marcy.
Okay, so the setting, SCI-Marcy, it's in Tioga County, Pennsylvania. And the design, it dates back to the 1960s, which tells you a lot about its original purpose.
Yeah, the sources really hammer this point home, this architectural hypocrisy. It was built with a progressive vision.
For rehabilitation, believe it or not.
We're talking bright colors, supposedly tasteful. The cells were designed to be spacious and airy, an open plan to, what was the phrase, encourage communication.
Right. Not isolation. It even had 3 full-size gyms, a psych ward. The whole thing was designed for 768 beds. It was meant to be humane.
But that's the thing about intent versus reality, isn't it? The physical space ended up betraying that whole progressive idea.
Absolutely. 40 years later, the reality is just brutal. The population has exploded to over 1,300 women.
Wow.
The walls are scuffed, the layout feels claustrophobic, and those bright, optimistic colors, they've all faded to this dingy institutional gray and yellow.
So the environment itself became a weapon. The sources say it always hovered one incident away from a full-blown riot.
It's a textbook powder keg, a pressure cooker. And the chilling part is that the spark that finally sets it off, it wasn't spontaneous.
No, it was a calculated, meticulously planned trigger, March 7th.
And that calculation is our first clue. This isn't random. This isn't just tension boiling over. The incident that kicks it all off is, it's almost laughably small.
A dinner roll.
A rock-hard calcified dinner roll thrown into a bowl of soup.
It hits this overweight Latina woman's soup, beef barley, and just splatters everywhere. It's such a minor provocation.
But it's designed to escalate instantly.
And it does. It goes from, a minor assault to just extreme brutality in seconds. The Latina woman, who the sources say is in for aggravated assault.
So she's not one to let things slide.
Not at all. She grabs the woman who threw it, this slim girl with glasses, and just slams her face into the table twice.
Oof.
The glasses shatter, her nose breaks. The sources describe the crunch as just visceral and sickening.
And that's the starting gun. The COs are on the far side of the cafeteria, they're moving slow, and by the time they even react, the violence is already spreading.
And out come the improvised weapons. Someone stabs the big Latina woman with a sharpened toothbrush handle.
It's a classic shank.
Classic. And then it's chaos. Women grabbing metal trays, pulling out hitting weapons, settling scores that have probably been simmering for months.
And right in the middle of all of this is Laura Caxton.
She's just trying to stay out of it, do what you're supposed to do, get to the wall, hands visible, but she's a target.
A massive target.
She gets grabbed, dragged towards the kitchens, which brings us to her unique and incredibly dangerous position in this whole ecosystem.
She's totally isolated, infamous, the Dyke ex-cop.
Yeah.
She was on the other team for years, then she messed up, and now she's inside.
So nobody has her back. The Cheos hate her, see her as a traitor who got caught.
And the inmates despise her. She was the authority they fought against, so she's this This high-value target for any inmate trying to build a reputation.
Which we see perfectly with guilty Jen.
What a character. Her face is literally a rap sheet. Tattoos of teardrops, 4 on one side, 5 on the other.
9 separate prison stints.
And she tells Caxton straight up what her motive is. She's new to Marcy. She needs to make a name for myself all over again.
And Caxton is the perfect target. Hated by everyone, no protection. Low consequence, high reward.
Jen even threatens to brand Caxton's face with a hot nail to claim her.
And this is where Caxton's reaction, her training, becomes this huge paradox. She knows she can't show weakness because that just invites more attacks.
Right.
But the way she's been trained to fight is just, it's completely incompatible with fighting other humans.
This is the critical point. This is the flaw Malvern is going to exploit later.
Yeah.
Caxton is trained to kill things that are bigger, faster, stronger, things whose wounds heal the second the fight is over.
Vampires.
Vampires. So she never learned restraint. She never internalized how to just incapacitate a person without using lethal force.
So when she fights back, it's hyperviolence. She
Yeah.
slips her restraints, grabs a huge tureen of boiling soup, and just throws it on an attacker.
A member of the Aryan Brotherhood, no less.
Then she fractures another woman's jaw, headbutts a third, and breaks her nose. And the climax of it is just gruesome. She grabs a sharpened spoon, another shank, and throws it right into the big Latina's eye.
That level of reflexive lethality, it's just her baseline. But to the staff, it's monstrous.
And even then, it's not over. Guilty Jen, it turns out, has martial arts training.
An insane twist. She's actually fast enough and skilled enough to be a real threat to Caxton.
The sources call it an old-fashioned gunslinger standoff. Jen lands a roundhouse kick that's so fast it actually injures Caxton's wrist.
And the fight only stops when a sergeant finally bursts in with a shotgun, fires a beanbag round right into Jen's stomach.
So Caxton, who is clearly defending herself from a group attack,
Is immediately hogtied and dragged away. And this is the moment the trap starts to spring. Her competence is seen as a threat.
Exactly. Warden Augie Bellows sees this display of expert violence, and she doesn't see self-defense. She sees a high-risk prisoner.
And she uses the institution's own rules to isolate her.
She sentences Caxton to administrative segregation ADSEG in the SCI-Marcy for the rest of her 5-year sentence.
And this isn't just, a few weeks in the hole for fighting. This is a permanent transfer. It's 5 years of solitary confinement.
And this is where the conspiracy it breaks wide open. When Caxton is in the office with Bellows, she glances at the warden's BlackBerry.
A tiny detail, but it's everything. A partial chat transcript.
It reads, "Hey, Bell, it feels like forever. I can't wait to get started." And the reply,
Damonoctus, it shalln't be long. Patience, I say to ye, 'tis worth the wait.
let's just pause on that. Abel is obviously Augie Bellows.
In Damonoctus, the lady of the night, that's got to be Malvern. And the language shalln't be, I say to ye, it's archaic. It confirms who she's talking to.
So this proves two things. One, Bellows is a willing, active collaborator.
And two, the riot wasn't some random event Malvern took advantage of. It was a calculated mechanism designed for one purpose.
To get Laura Caxton isolated in the SHU.
And Bellows even admits it to her face. She tells Caxton the decision is personal. It's because you're in my way. You're a minor obstacle in the road of my life.
Wow. So her 5 years in ADSEG had nothing to do with the riot. It was just clearing the board.
It was a strategic prerequisite for the real takeover. It's astonishing. Malvern didn't break into the prison. She used the prison's own bureaucracy to put her greatest enemy exactly where she wanted her. Cut off, demoralized, and completely alone. Hashtag tag 2. Isolation and the psychology of the SHU.
So now we go from the hot, chaotic violence of the cafeteria to this cold, sterile isolation of the SHU.
It's a huge shift, and this is where the architecture of the prison becomes Malvern's most powerful psychological tool.
The special housing unit. Structurally, it's designed for maximum surveillance, right?
Right. It's a tight circle of cells built around a 2-level guard post in the center. Constant visibility, nowhere to hide. The cells themselves are tiny, 8 feet wide, 16 deep, steel doors.
And the confinement is just absolute. 23 hours a day locked down, 1 hour out for exercise or a shower.
And the sensory experience is completely dehumanizing. The lights, these brilliant perpetual Klieg lights, are never, ever turned off.
It's not just for the cameras. It's about breaking you. No sleep routines, no sense of day or night. The white walls just amplify the light, this feeling of constant exposure.
And just like that, Caxton is cut off from everything that makes you human. Darkness, routine, privacy.
This whole process, the sensory control, it's designed to just strip you of your identity. We see it right away with the intake procedures.
The forced strip search. The body cavity search. The source material is very specific about the CEO, the one called Hairlip, whispering these targeted abusive things during the search.
It's overtly homophobic language designed purely to humiliate and dehumanize.
It's important to state here, we're quoting from the sources to illustrate the calculated nature of this abuse. It's not random cruelty, it's a tactic.
And it works. That immediate personal humiliation is the first step in the psychological grind. Caxton, this legal operator, suddenly has zero control over her own body.
And you see her mental state start to fracture almost immediately. The source notes her thinking they were turning her into an inmate, even inside her own head.
That's a terrifying realization.
It is. She finds herself just
Yeah.
waiting to be told what to do next. A huge shift from being this decisive hunter to just a compliant prisoner. The silence, the isolation, those are the real weapons here.
And the SHU is basically a holding pen for the most desperate and dangerous inmates. The sources break them down into three types.
Yeah. You've got ADSEG, which is where they put Caxton, the violent, the disruptive. Then there's protective custody, PC.
Child molesters, informants, people who'd be killed on site in the general population.
And then death row.
And the irony here is just insane. The death row inmates have the best cells.
The Cadillac cells. Private rooms, reading lamps, a small window.
Why?
Because they're model prisoners. They're just waiting to die, so they cause zero trouble. Meanwhile, Caxton, who is disciplined but dangerous, gets thrown in with the most unstable people in the prison.
And that instability shows up immediately in the form of her cellmate, Gertrude Stimson. Gert.
Oh, Gert. She is a walking case study in prison damage. Pasty white, stringy red hair, a meth addict for 20 years. A good jolt, as she calls it.
And she has this bizarre obsession with babies. Pictures torn from magazines all over her wall.
And Gert, in her own desperate way, immediately gives Caxton this crucial piece of prison philosophy.
The difference between inmates and convicts.
This is so critical to understanding how this world works. Inmates are the ones trying to get along. They want a good behavior jacket. They want early parole. They're playing the system's game.
But convicts.
Convicts know they're in for life or in and out for life. So for them, it's all about reputation, power, violence. They're playing the prison's internal game.
And Caxton thinks she's an inmate. She wants to do her time and get out.
But Gert sees right through that.
Yeah.
She sees the violence in Caxton and immediately pegs her as a hard case, a convict.
And she tries to attach herself to Caxton immediately. She wants to be her road bitch.
Her protector, her companion. She wants Caxton to be her mama, this dominant, protective figure.
And Caxton's response is just brutal. She shuts it down immediately. She's terrified of giving Gert false hope, knowing the second she's out, she'll never think about her again.
That Hunter's ruthlessness is still there, even when it comes to emotion.
And you see the psychological decay in the little things, too. The food is inedible, 3 slices of toast, unripe melon, no coffee, because Gert has a teensy problem with speed.
And yet, those miserable little meals becoming absolute high point of the day. The only thing that breaks up the endless monotony.
Even the 1 hour of exercise is just another display of power. They're shackled, walking in a circle 6 feet apart, no talking.
But this is where we see one of the most just profound acts of rebellion described in the sources.
The woman in front of Caxton, she just starts urinating on herself.
Yeah, a trickle of yellow down her legs, splattering on the floor. And Caxton is horrified. She asks Gert, why would anyone do that? Why would you degrade yourself like that?
And Gert's answer is just chillingly logical.
She pissed herself so that one of the COs would have to clean her up. It's an act of extreme indignity, but it's the only power they have. By weaponizing their own filth, they force the guards to engage with them, to deal with their misery. It's a tiny, fleeting moment of control.
And the final piece of the isolation puzzle is the therapy sessions.
Which are a complete joke. Every 6 weeks, over a monitored landline, no human contact.
Caxton tries to open up. She says she misses Clara, she can't sleep, she's scared.
And the therapist's response is just a clinical checklist. Are you depressed? Are you hearing voices?
Her genuine anguish is just treated like a medical symptom to be medicated away with Thorazine or Prozac.
Right. It's not seen as a rational human response to an insane situation. So that systematically cuts off her last possible emotional lifeline. The system has done all of Malvern's psychological prep work for her. Perfectly. Hashtag take 3, Malvern's strategic pivot, and the half-dead army.
Okay, let's pivot now to the antagonist. Let's look at Justinia Malvern and what she's been doing while Caxton is being systematically broken down.
And we get this perspective from Clara Hsu, Caxton's girlfriend. She's a forensic criminologist with the Special Subjects Unit, the SSU,
The vampires.
the Vampire Squad. And she's investigating a new, very alarming pattern in Malvern's recent activity.
So Malvern is ancient, born in 1695, 4th century of unlife.
And to keep going, she needs a massive, constant supply of fresh blood. The sources say if she doesn't get it, she literally starts to decay in her coffin.
So her old MO, her strategy, was always about being cautious, low profile.
Exactly. She targeted the homeless, illegal immigrants, victims the police wouldn't put a lot of resources into investigating, all to stay off the SSU's radar.
But that has changed dramatically. Clara and her partner are looking at these new attacks. Tupperware parties, roadhouses.
9 people killed in one night. These are high-risk, high-visibility massacres. They're screaming for police attention.
So that raises the big question,
Yeah.
why? Why the change in strategy?
And they realize it can only be one of two things. Either Malvern is desperate, she's starving, or, and this is the really scary option.
She's not worried about us anymore.
Exactly. If she's not worried, it means she thinks she's already neutralized the SSU's ability to stop her.
And Caxton confirms this when Clara visits her. Caxton says Malvern is never sloppy. This escalation means she's building up to something.
And this directly contradicts what Clara's boss, Deputy Marshal Fetlock, believes.
Right. Fetlock is this rigid, by-the-book guy who just dismisses it. He thinks Malvern is entering a death spiral, getting sloppy, ready to be caught.
It's this massive underestimation by the authorities. The same authorities who put Caxton away in the first place. Fetlock even joked that prison for her was like going away to summer camp.
They are completely blind to the level of planning going on here.
And that plan relies on her primary weapon, the half-deads.
We really need to break down what these things are. They're the perfect tool for this particular job.
Okay, so the biology. Vampires can raise some of their victims for a short period of time, maybe a week or so.
They're basically animated corpses.
Animated, rapidly rotting corpses. And the key thing is, they are forced to obey the vampire's will. Absolutely. So they are a disposable, terrifying, and completely loyal workforce.
And their psychology is just horrific.
They have no soul. They are in constant, agonizing pain.
And on some level, they know that what they are is just wrong.
So to cope with that, they self-mutilate. They tear off their own faces, their eyelids, their lips.
Yeah, leaving these ragged masks of torn skin. So they are visual nightmares, but they are incredibly effective because they're vicious and crazy and had no moral compunctions whatsoever.
And tactically, what are the pros and cons of using them?
The pros are huge. Perfect obedience. They don't need to breathe, eat, or sleep. They can be deployed in huge numbers without any fear of them rebelling or getting scared. They're the perfect replacement for the prison COs.
And the downside?
They're not strong or fast, and their coordination isn't good enough for them to use complex weapons like guns. So they mostly rely on knives, shanks, blunt instruments. They're a mob, not an army. And we see them deployed for the first time right there in the SHU.
Yeah. Caxton hears a voice over the speaker telling prisoners to back away from their doors. And then she sees a figure, a male CO named Murphy.
But it's not Murphy.
No. Caxton recognizes him instantly as a half-dead. She sees the signs. His chin is torn and bloody, showing the pinkish gray and rubbery muscle tissue underneath.
So this is Murphy's reanimated corpse, wearing his old uniform.
And what's so significant is that he isn't just killing randomly. He is looking for Caxton on Malvern's orders.
Hairlip, the CO on duty, she tries to follow protocol, lock the unit down.
But she's overridden from Central Command. The conspiracy is already in control of the whole prison infrastructure. The SHU doors all unlock remotely.
And the half-dead Murphy, he just goes from cell to cell with a hunting knife, systematically killing anyone who isn't Laura Caxton.
He's singing her name. Laura? Where are you, Laura? I'm going to find you if I have to cut my way through every last one of these cells.
It's not random horror. It's personalized. It's a message sent directly to Caxton, letting her know that her prison is now her battlefield. So right before this invasion kicks into high gear, there's this profound collision of the personal and the strategic.
Clara Hsu's visit.
Yeah. Caxton's girlfriend. The sources make it clear she drove 4 hours with one very specific intention.
She was going to break up with her.
It's just devastating. She felt completely neglected, like she was always second place to Caxton's obsession with hunting vampires. She couldn't wait 5 years for her to get out.
She wanted her life back.
And Caxton knows. The second she sees Clara's body language through that Lexan glass, she knows what's coming. But then, the twist.
Clara chickens out.
She opens her mouth, and she just can't say the words.
So instead, she reverts. She goes back to her safe, professional role as a forensic criminologist, and they talk about the case. They talk about Malvern's MO for the entire hour.
They never touch the real reason she's there, and that failure to communicate that one moment of weakness, it seals Clara's fate.
Because as she's leaving the visitation room, she gets intercepted.
Not by a full-on monster, but by a CO named Franklin. His face is just starting to peel.
He's freshly turned. His disguise is still just good enough to fool her for a second, and that's all they need.
They take her to Warden Bella's office, and this is where the full, horrific human betrayal is laid bare.
The symbolism of the setting is perfect. Bellows is standing by this huge picture window as the sun is setting. The exact moment a vampire becomes active.
And the coffin is already in the room. Clara thinks it's just some weird piece of furniture.
And Bellows just lays out her motive for Clara. And it all comes down to fear.
She has inoperable colon cancer.
And in her mind, collaborating with Malvern isn't evil. It's her ticket to eternal life. She's been promised a perfect transformation into a vampire for her service.
And her justification, her moral excuse, is her contempt for the inmates.
She calls them toxic waste. She rationalizes mass murder by saying prisons are just for warehousing people and that society doesn't care if Malvern eats every last piece of human wreckage in Marcy.
It's the ultimate act of selfish self-preservation.
And then, the moment of terror. Malvern emerges from the coffin.
And Clara, the forensic expert, gets a first-hand look at what she's really up against.
The description is key to understanding Malvern's desperation. She's skeletal, bald, with these long triangular ears, one cloudy yellow eye, one empty socket with a cobweb in it. Her mouth is just full of broken, shark-like fangs. She is a creature on the verge of collapse.
And she immediately demonstrates why she needed the prison. She attacks the first prisoner they bring in, bites her spine, crushes her lungs.
And the second that fresh blood hits her system, the change is instantaneous. The new blood starts healing her. Her working eye clears up, her skin gets color, her arms start to look positively fleshy.
She's becoming vibrantly and dangerously alive.
The prison is a blood farm. It's working exactly as designed. A rejuvenation center for an ancient predator.
So Malvern and Bellows now have total control. They've cut off all communication, claiming it's just a contained riot. The inmates are now a captive herd.
And the warden gets on a megaphone and announces the 3 options to the dormitories.
And these options, they just showcase this calculated, efficient cruelty.
Okay. Option 1, donation.
Prisoners can stick their left arm through the bars and donate a couple ounces of blood. The half-deads are running the show with the needles.
And the detail that tells you everything you need to know about the inmate's future is that they're reusing the needles.
Ignoring the risk of HIV hepatitis?
Because they don't expect the inmates to live long enough for it to matter. They're a short-term resource to be consumed.
Okay. Option 2, refusal.
This one is simple. If you refuse to donate, Malvern or a half-dead comes into your cell and rips your throat out.
So compliance for option 1 is probably pretty high.
Extremely high. And then there's option 3, the silent right, recruitment.
This shows her long-term plan. She's not just feeding, she's building an army.
Exactly. Inmates with life sentences, sociopaths like Hauser, this white supremacist for hate crimes, they're encouraged to volunteer to become new vampires.
And it's a whole ritual. It's not just a bite.
No, it's an intimate exchange. The volunteer gets the curse, and then they have to take their own life with a fast-acting poison from Malvern.
And if their will is strong enough?
They rise the next night as one of Malvern's new brood. She's recruiting from the most violent, least compassionate humans she can find.
And what about Bellows? She's desperate for this, right? Her ticket to immortality.
Desperate. But Malvern holds her back. She tells her she's still useful as a mortal, a human face to manage any outside interference.
That's just ruthless. She's keeping her most loyal collaborator on a leash.
Maximizing her utility before she gives her the gift of damnation. So the stage is set, the army is mobilized, the food source is secure, the enemy leader is at peak strength. Now she just needs the bait. #55, Caxton's escape in the 23-hour trap.
Okay, so the focus snaps right back to the SHU. Caxton is fighting the half-dead Murphy.
She outmaneuvers him and then gets a lucky break. A wounded inmate uses her last bit of strength to pull an emergency lever, which opens Caxton's cell door.
So Caxton neutralizes Murphy, but then CO Hairlip shows up, the same one who abused her during the intake.
Right. And Hairlip, she manages to get out of her guard post.
Yeah.
And this is critical. She uses a beanbag shotgun round to kill the half-dead.
Which confirms their vulnerability. Blunt force trauma to the skull, that's the key.
But then, Institutional failure at its most catastrophic. Hairlip's training kicks in. Caxton is screaming at her that this is a supernatural attack, but Hairlip just defaults to her protocol. Contain the situation.
So she tases Caxton, this white bolt of pain, and locks her back in the cell. She's convinced Bellows is sending special teams to handle it.
Her rigid adherence to the rules, even after Caxton just saved her life, is instantly fatal.
Because that's when Gert steps up.
Caxton's rejected ally. She'd slipped out of the cell during the chaos. She finds the half-dead's knife, and she kills Hairlip.
Yeah.
The sound is described as someone gagging on a piece of gristly food.
Horrifying.
And Gert, covered in blood, comes back and says, I told you I could be useful. I'm going to be your road bitch now.
Oh. And Caxton has no choice but to accept. She's now allied with a sociopathic killer out of sheer necessity.
So now she needs weapons. She raids the guard post, grabs a baton, pepper spray, a stun gun, which she knows is useless, but she takes it anyway, and the rubber bullets. The polyvinyl chloride slugs.
And this is a huge tactical turning point for her. She's adapting.
She is. She realizes the half-deads don't feel pain or dodge like people do. Their decaying skeletons are brittle. So these non-lethal, high-velocity, blunt impact rounds are actually perfect for cracking their skulls and spines.
She's using the prison's own compliance tools against the undead.
And as she starts to escape, she notices something is wrong. The corridors are too easy. Doors that should be locked are open. The half-dead squad she runs into are armed, but they're poorly led, predictable.
She's not escaping.
She's being funneled.
She makes it to the kitchen, gets into this brutal fight with a mob of half-deads armed with knives and ladles.
And she proves her new tactics work. Pepper spray to blind one, rubber slugs, and the baton to take down the rest. Her hands, blunt force, and compliance gear. That's her new arsenal.
Which leads to this brilliant move in the loading dock. She's barricaded the kitchen door, but another mob of half-deads is coming, and she finds a banned weapon.
Air-activated aqueous foam.
It was banned because it was so aggressive it could actually suffocate human prisoners.
But Caxton's tactical mind is flying. She doesn't spray it at them. She shoots the canister itself with a rubber bullet,
causing a catastrophic eruption. This ropey, hardening orange goo explodes everywhere.
And since half-deads don't breathe, the suffocation risk is zero. But the foam expands and hardens instantly, locking the entire mob in place. She just turned a flawed security weapon into the perfect anti-half-dead trap. It's genius.
And right after that, her suspicions are confirmed. She gets into the loading dock guard post, looks at the diagrams, and realizes escaping that way is suicide. Machine gun nests, the main gate.
The doors were left open on purpose to draw her to that exact spot.
And then, the final reveal. The security monitors flicker on, and it's a live, close-up shot of Malvern. But she looks healthy now, vibrant, terrifyingly alive from all the blood.
The camera pans just slightly, and there's the bait.
Clara Hsu, Caxton's girlfriend. Malvern is holding her gently, almost affectionately.
And then they present the time limit. Someone off camera hands Clara a piece of paper. She holds it up for the camera, for Caxton. It just says 23 hours.
And that clock.
Yeah.
That's the final piece of Malvern's strategic genius.
It is. A 23-hour countdown means the deadline is 1 hour before dawn the next day.
So Caxton is forced to act while Malvern is still awake, still active, full of blood, and at her absolute strongest. It completely negates the hunter's usual advantage of waiting for sunrise.
The whole thing was just a fishing trip. We even get confirmation from Malvern herself. Right before she retreats for the day, she tells Bellows that Caxton's escape was part of the plan. I planned for her to escape all this time. It is why we needed her.
The riot, the SHU, the mass murder, it was all this an incredibly elaborate lure to get one person to one specific place at one specific time. Hashtag tag outro. So what this deep dive really shows us is a level of strategic planning that is just, it's breathtaking. It goes so far beyond a simple raid for blood.
Right, you have the hostile takeover orchestrated by the human collaborator Bellows, who's just driven by the selfish fear of her own death.
You have the biological warfare, the disposable army of half-deads.
The conversion of the prison into a sustainable blood farm and a recruitment center through that horrifying silent rite.
But every single layer, every move was just a calculated step in this incredibly complex trap, all for one person.
All for Laura Caxton. Malvern didn't just want her blood. She wanted her soul, her will, her expertise. She systematically destroyed every support system Caxton had left.
Forcing her into an alliance with Gert, cutting her off from Clara.
And Malvern knows exactly where to stick the knife. The source material ends with the ultimate psychological blow. She looks at Clara and says, "You're loved," knowing Caxton is watching on that monitor.
It's not just a threat. It's this twisted promise of care and protection for the one person Caxton loves most.
Which leaves Caxton and us with this impossible, provocative final question for those last 23 hours. What is Malvern's real endgame here?
She's not expecting Caxton to just try and kill her.
No. She's not expecting her to escape and call for help. The trap is too perfect for that. What Malvern truly expects, with that clock ticking and Clara as the bait, is for Caxton to willingly walk into that command center.
And agree to take the silent ride herself.
Exactly. Malvern is trying to turn her greatest enemy into her most powerful asset, to turn the world's best vampire hunter into the cornerstone of her new brood. So the question for Caxton is just existential.
What do you do when saving the world means losing the person you love? But saving the person you love means becoming the monster you've spent your entire life hunting. That's the choice she has to make before the clock runs out.